Hey, what's up? This is Aries here. Every now and again we do a here's an interesting couple of brands that you might not know about type video, and this week is no different, but looking through my ever-growing list of cool brands, I found that there was a bit of a trend towards South Korean ones, so hey, let's make a theme of it. It's certainly a country underrepresented on this channel for the most part, so we're going to fix that. There's some very cool designers we can look at, and I'm going to be very surprised if there isn't something new or of interest to you in this video. And as always, we're going to cover a bunch of different aesthetics and price points, so there's lots to check out, so let's go. I'm going to start with a big one, post-archive faction. If the idea of technical clothing and high fashion silhouettes appeal to you, then this brand is going to be right up your street. Lots of nylon jackets and pants, but using very experimental forms and construction techniques to really turn the idea of high performance gear on its head with some very ultra modern style overall. Incorporating some deconstruction with multi-layering and all kinds of other techniques, and always presented either in a single colour or a couple of complementary tones. It's absolutely a brand which puts the silhouette and the form of the garments ahead of any patterns, colouring or branding. It really lets those pieces speak for themselves, and one of the things that I really like about the brand is that almost all of their clothing comes in 3 separate varieties: left, center, and right. Right is the conventional option. They appear like fairly regular pieces for the most part, but with that little injection of PAF detailing in there. Center makes more of those features with something more noticeable or eye-catching in some way, and the left, of course, is the experimental, no holds barred, let's do something crazy and see what happens. And that's where you'll find the most complex and advanced construction that the brand offers. I really like this approach. It means that people can engage with the brand in their own way, whether they really want to go for that high-end, totally crazy stuff that feels like it's pushing boundaries, or just integrate that little bit of something interesting into a far more conventional wardrobe. Or something in between the avant-garde and the conventional, but it's all done in an extremely easy to understand way, and I think it's more natural than having a sort of main line and a diffusion line or an essentials line. The left versions of things are often extremely expensive, unfortunately, but the right equivalents are being far less complex, much more affordable too, so they're an easier entry point into the brand from that perspective as well. Next up is Curated Parade, who I feel like are not very well known outside South Korea, and thanks for Need for Breed on TikTok for this one. But it's a brand taking menswear and streetwear basics, but creating imbalance with a lot of off-center tailoring. I'm a fan of these fly trousers using this double knee design, but with the bottom pleat being super low down to give this real kind of oversized, slouchy kind of vibe. They also dropped these hoodies as well, which use these curved panels stitched at the front to perfectly capture that easy to wear, but kind of interesting at the same time subgenre. It seems like those have been particularly popular because they're all sold out, but I noticed that a lot of them have dates attached which say like 31st of October to 31st of January, so it's possible that come February we'll see some new things released from this brand. Prices are much more reasonable as well. Those hoodies retailed at the equivalent of just over $100. Downside though, I have no idea if it's possible to actually order this stuff overseas. I did try to make an account, but it wouldn't accept a user ID, even trying to input Korean characters in there. Don't know if anyone else will have any better success, but if not, I guess it'll be down to finding someone in South Korea who's willing to help you or using a forwarding service of some kind. But who knows, if this brand gains more traction and popularity, maybe they will start branching out to some international stockists as well. But you can guarantee if you manage to get hold of something, you're going to be the only person in your city wearing this stuff. I had a quick look on Cayl and there is absolutely nothing from this brand. Heinzio is a better known name in the fashion space, and for good reason. Since 2014 it's enjoyed celebrities wearing it, plenty of fashion mag coverage, and pretty consistent collections. They make a lot of use of neutral tones and combine more oversized concealing garments with far more form-fitting ones, and often ones which include cutout details which will expose parts of the body you might not necessarily expect from that garment. Lots of technical and sportswear stuff in there as well, which is always a winner in my book. This is primarily a women's brand. They do have some men's stuff as well, primarily outerwear, but the women's collections are far more fleshed out, and indeed that's where you can see a lot more of the brand's personality, of this kind of playful adolescence that they include in a lot of their collections. It's one of the more expensive brands here, but with better global availability. They sell in dollars on their official site, for example, and there's a variety of global retailers and boutiques that stock it as well. So there's quite a few different places to keep your eye out if you're interested. I want the focus of this video to be stuff that I've never mentioned before, keep it 100% fresh, but in the interest of completeness, I'm also going to mention a few things that I have talked about in previous videos, but we'll go through kind of rapid fire style. Added Era gained a fair level of popularity over the last few years with frequent collabs and a pretty tongue-in-cheek take on streetwear, combining super oversized stuff with some really fun graphic prints and distressing and other references to vintage style and heritage garments. Feels like it's operating in the same kind of space as a brand like Vetements, but never quite reached that explosive level of popularity that they did. But there's also a little bit of Scandinavian minimalism mixed in there as well. I've talked about them before with their Alpha Industries collab a year or two ago, which I thought was pretty nice, but there's a bunch of other interesting stuff from there as well, and you'll see them on pretty much every mainstream luxury fashion website. IISE, I definitely featured these guys in a previous Brands You Should Know type video, and another one with a cool Alpha Industries collab. I almost bought this blood chip bomber jacket, which came with an included flag, which referenced messages that pilots would carry in case they were downed in enemy territory. Outside of that, we have collabs with Gore-Tex, providing some technically infused outerwear, by Bora as well, with some really interesting knit options that you probably won't see in many other places, and an array of high quality basics too. Cayl, I mentioned them in the technical hiking brands video, and if you caught last week's video, you'll know that I recently got a pair of their pants. We'll be talking about them more next month, where we do a full roundup of some cool new 2022 cargos. In the meantime though, they're an outdoor focused brand with a bunch of functional fashion designs which really capture the spirit of a casual outdoor fan, I think, whilst having a kind of mix of a retro and modern pieces in an overall low branded finish. It's all stuff that could work nicely in an urban scenario as well. And if you're a fan of brands like Arc'teryx, but you're not a fan of the memes because you can't name every mountain, then this is definitely a brand to check out. Let's go back to brand new though with Songzio. They definitely have some things in common with other brands on this list. We're talking conventional items fused with contrasting elements. Chinos and jeans updated with these very visible and oversized cargo pockets, for example. The mismatched hems on this jumper are pretty cool, as are the extreme dropped shoulders and the button detailing to one side. It almost makes it look like this is a button jumper that's been sort of literally flipped around and turned on its head. I also particularly like on these pants here, you've got these angled pleats creating this unusual diamond-like design, which is really a mark of unconventional dart use. If you remember, we talked about those last week. This is one of the more expensive brands, with the sweaters running you about $350, but they do have better international availability thanks to some of their stuff being available on Farfetch. They do have a diffusion line as well called Zero with 2 Zs, but the more interesting stuff is definitely in mainline. And for one final one, which I again heard from Need for Breed, is cost per kilo. Yes, the logo might be of a trash bag, but the clothing is fire. A little more imposing than other brands here, but you'll see again some similar elements like these curved slits cut out of quite a few of their things. Korean brands just love doing this, don't they? I don't know why, but I'm all for it because it makes even the basic pieces look kind of interesting. The two-tone mountain parka uses similar color blocking to what you'd find from an 80s piece of skiwear, but with a cut that instantly updates it to 2022. Their pants are some of their coolest pieces though. Not only do you see the same kinds of curves and spirals like on these spiral pants, a very appropriate name, but you've got these cool curved zip cargos with this super long curved zip, yes, going all the way down the front of the pant leg. They've got a bit of a grungy biker kind of look and this bottom heavy finish that's just begging for them to be paired up with some big fat boots to go stomping around in. That's very different to anything that I own, so I'd love to experiment with some of that kind of stuff. The pants come in at just under $300, I think, and they do ship internationally as well, but it's a brand that you're pretty unlikely to see outside of South Korea at this stage. So if you're a fan of being ahead of the curve, then you could do a lot worse than these guys. That's all for now though on this South Korean brand lineup. Which was your favourite? For me, PAF capture a lot of what's great about this kind of fashion, and you know that I can't resist a weird looking jacket. But as I mentioned, there's a lot of common elements through a lot of these brands. But at the same time, they have a lot of their own identity as well. If you're looking for easy to wear stuff, brands like Curated Parade and Cayl are going to be great options here. But Added Era 2 has great wearability, and it's the kind of thing that you'll find on all kinds of retailers, and probably in the sales as well. I'm sure I've missed some great ones though, so if you can think of any others, definitely add them to the comments, and then for other people scrolling through, it's going to make them even more useful than the video alone, so thanks in advance for doing that. And if you enjoyed the video, please do give it a like, because that is super appreciated, and as always, we will be back next week with another video. Shout out to Robert, really glad you found the video interesting. I feel like there are a lot of people in the comments that didn't know at least one of the things in the video, so that's good. And shout out to Jaylee Durr, one of the many people that didn't know that those Prestos had the locking zip on the back. I swear they need to ship those with an instruction manual or something, because so many people just have absolutely no idea until somebody else points it out. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. If you want to catch some more, there's going to be videos going up at the top. We've got some cool future stuff planned. I've got some interesting, more unconventional sneakers on the way. We've got some sale pickups to talk about as well, and loads of other stuff which is kind of semi-planned in the pipeline. I mentioned the 2022 cargos video. There's going to be essentially 4 very different types of cargos, and we'll do like a bit of a mini review of each one, and that's going to be a fun one. So yeah, stay tuned.